We're going to send you a big thank you for all this engagement that you've driven. You're going to get the first ever MultiLingual branded canvas bag.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Thank you. Thank you. This week, I'm talking with Marina Ilari, who is the CEO, second generation CEO of Terra Translations. They focus on Spanish and games localization, and she is originally from Argentina. A couple of weeks ago, she posted a really lovely video on LinkedIn that, for our standards, has gone completely viral. We see more than 170 engagements, and she has received nearly 4,000 views already. In this video, Marina calls out an article that she wrote for our most recent magazine that is called "The Challenge of Localizing Video Games for Latin American Spanish." It's a very interesting article. There will be a direct link to that article that is now available for anyone to read in the description of this video. What do you think happened there? Why do you think people are so enthusiastic in responding to that short video you did?
I think it's a topic of interest in general. Video game localization, I've noticed more and more the last maybe couple of years, it's been getting more and more popular. And there's not a lot of content about it out there. Well, there is now, but I think it's just a topic that people are interested in. And I think somehow I sparked people's interest by showing the magazine because it does look beautiful. And I'm hoping you got more subscribers out of it.
I'm hoping so too. I think it was a combination of things as well. You've got the gaming localization aspect and then the Spanish language aspect.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is so much appetite for anything to do with Spanish localization just across the board. So combining those two and then flaunting the magazine and your article in it was super, super popular. I'm kind of going to use this as a segue into the show Open World as well, which I know that you are partly responsible for. So can you tell us a little bit more about the idea behind Open World and why you decided to go with MultiLingual TV? I think it was the first show on MultiLingual TV where it was published.
Yeah, it was a very fortunate sequence of events, I think, the Open World. I've been having this idea for a while now. I have a podcast in Spanish also. It's called En Pantuflas, and we interview translators. It's our fourth year doing this podcast. So we've interviewed over 150 translators and interpreters, and I love doing that project. And I always thought my passion, as you may well know, my passion is video game localization. So I always thought there's nothing specifically for video game localization. I would be such a huge fan of a show that talked about video game localization and actually talked about different games and how the games and decided to do the localization and really analyze, but also make it fun. I had all these ideas of something that would be really entertaining to watch and funny and engaging, but also very educational on the game localization side. Because game localization, in the broad world, it's pretty new. It has maybe 30 years total, and the beginnings were kind of rocky. So it's now that it's getting really established as a very serious endeavor and a very important endeavor for game developers and publishers. So I had this idea, and no one was doing it, so I was maybe I should do it. I should do it. And
that's one of the best ways.
I have all these ideas, so maybe people are interested too. And the people that I talked to, they all thought it was a great idea, including the team at MultiLingual, which in passing I mentioned, like, I have this idea, wouldn't it be great to have this? And I'm thinking of doing it myself. And they liked the idea. And then we met to discuss, like, hey, would you be actually interested in doing this project in multilingual TV?
Yeah.
So, so that's how it came about. And
absolutely, and I think that's one of the keys to success in a niche industry is identifying a need for something. If you're incredibly enthusiastic about it and it doesn't exist yet, then try it. So we're really happy with Open World and the engagement, and it's a super fun show. I watch it every single time. It's every other week. Yeah, and your guests are amazing. So I really, really like the meme section where they talk about the memes. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, we try to pour some of like our team spirit in that too, because we are all in our team like obsessed with memes, and we're all like language nerds. So we try to put that in the show, hoping to also make people laugh and like have it be more fun, educational, but in a fun way.
So yeah, your article in the games and multimedia issue, again, great article. Really liked reading it. And I'm curious. I wasn't involved in getting you as a writer on the magazine, but what prompted you? I think this is your first article, right, for us?
This is my first article for MultiLingual magazine. Yes, I have been a subscriber for years, and I was always like really obsessed with the gaming issue, and but yeah, I had never seen an article specifically about what I talked about, which is the neutral Latin American Spanish variant, which is personally really fascinates me because it's very challenging to localize well into a neutral language that's supposed to serve over 20 languages.
Yes.
And yeah, so I tell like a few personal stories there too in the article, like growing up. What sort of inspired the article is like realizing how strange it was that when I was playing with my brother growing up, we would play with our toys speaking in neutral Latin American Spanish. Which sounds super weird. I grew up in Argentina, so I wasn't speaking like Argentine Spanish. I was doing like a neutral Latin American Spanish. Yeah. And it's because I was so influenced by movies and TV and everything that was dubbed there, that it's done in neutral Latin American Spanish. So I guess my brother and I thought like, yeah, if we're pretending to be other characters, we are to speak in neutral Latin American Spanish.
Yes, we speak our Spanish, but the whole rest of the planet speaks neutral Latin American Spanish, or neutral.
Exactly.
Yeah. If we were to do a Spanish issue, would you be interested in writing another article?
Absolutely. I've got tons of ideas for things I would like to write about. Yeah. So yes, count me in.
Okay, that's awesome. Just to close this off, tell me a little bit about the focus of your business.
Yeah, so I am a second generation CEO of the company Terra Localizations. It's a company that my mother founded over 20 years ago. And I've been the CEO now for a little over 3 years. And so it's a sort of new role for me. But
what were you doing before that? What was your role before that in the company?
I was managing director. So I was more involved with the operational side of things, and now sort of moved to the like client facing and commercial team supporting activities, amongst others.
Yes.
But yeah, we focus a lot on the Latin American region in my company, and we also have a big focus on game localization and creative translation, transcreation, that sort of area, which really I'm particularly very, very passionate about because I am a translator myself. So I love being able to focus on that, and the clients that we serve are really mostly in that area.
How do you think it helps being a translator yourself in the running of an LSP?
I think it helps immensely. I'm always seeing things from a translator's perspective, and I'm always trying to find ways to make life easier for the linguist. Because sometimes like companies will create processes or things that look great for the client side or for their side, but then for the linguists, it's like super cumbersome and just not efficient, and it doesn't allow for good communication, things like that. So we're always trying to find technology and processes that will help us and our clients, but also help our linguists.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it really truly helps to be a linguist, not only in the decisions that you make as a company, the type of clients you pursue, but also like the processes and the things that people are going to be doing in your company.
And how many Spanish dialects do you have in your repertoire? Because you talk a lot about the challenges of finding the dialect. How far do you want to go? How do you localize the puns and the memes, etc.? So how many do you have?
Yeah, well, we work on all the Spanish variants, all of them, including U.S. Spanish, which is one variant that we are asked to do a lot nowadays.
So how many are there? If you say all of them, what's the number?
There are over 20 different countries that speak Spanish in Latin America, and you also add 21 if you add the U.S., which has over 50 million Spanish speakers in the U.S. alone. It has more Spanish speakers than Spain. So if you think about that, it's like
wow.
It's a huge market and a huge opportunity also to be able to localize to the U.S. Hispanic audience.
I traveled extensively through Latin America, and of course noticed the second you cross a border, there are different words used, very, very different ways of greeting each other. Of course, there's dialects. The most significant ones I found were going back and forth between Argentina and Chile about every couple of weeks. And I would catch on to the Argentinian accent, go into Chile, and the Chileans would be like, "What are you, Argentinian?" and then catch the Chilean accent, go back into Argentina. They're like, "What are you, Chilean?" So it was really funny because you pick those up if you're not a native speaker. And carry them along.
But they're so different.
Yes, they are very different. And I think they are different, correct me if I'm wrong, because they share such a large border and they want to distinguish themselves from each other. And there is some tension between the two countries. And I think that is why. But that was just my analysis when I traveled. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I feel like the Andes, and I also had the fortune of traveling in Chile quite a lot. I don't know, like the Andes kind of like separate the two countries, and they're not that similar in terms of not only the accent, but also like the culture and how people are and how people think. I was actually really surprised to find it be like very different. Even though if you look at the map, it looks like we're in the same region, only separated by, huge mountains. But it varies so much. I think probably like the most similar to Argentinian Spanish you are going to find are the Uruguay. So Uruguay and Argentina do share this very similar accent. But if you cross the Andes and you go to Chile, it's very different.
Very different. Yeah. But what I was also curious about is you must recognize the difference in accents within Argentina itself. Of course, like in all countries, your city speakers, Buenos Aires folks, they speak a different kind of Argentinian than, in Cordoba or on the Pampa. So how do you deal with that?
That's a great question, because you were asking before, like, how far are you willing to go to localize, right? Like exactly what audience are you trying to capture, right? It's very different if you live in Buenos Aires, the capital, than if, like, I'm from the province of Santa Fe. Like I have a sort of somewhat different accent than the Buenos Aires people. But if you go up north, you find like a big array of other different accents as well. And I mean, this happens in every country, but We do share like the Argentine Spanish variant in the sense that most things, like most vocabulary will be recognized by everyone, and most things are pronounced similarly. The same thing happens in Spain, and I think I always say that Spanish translators have the advantage that they can use regionalisms and cultural references and things that have to do with Spain, because they're only targeting one country. Whereas when you're localizing for Latin America, you're targeting just so many countries and so many different cultures. So yeah, it's a constant challenge, and it really depends on how far you're willing to go and how, what type of audience you're really looking to capture. The more you can localize, the more, the better. I mean, I think, especially if it's like a selling copy or promotional material, like you really want to resonate with that audience. It does make a difference to localize it for a specific region, I would say.
Yes. Well, thank you for that insight. And I would say we're looking forward to the next Open World episode that's airing, I believe, this Thursday. And of course, any further contributions that you will bring to the magazine, thank you in advance. And thanks so much for your time today. It was a good talk.
Thank you. You're doing such a great job. I'm a huge fan. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If you are interested in games localization, please check out our show, Open World. There's a link to it in the description to this video. If you are interested in contributing to MultiLingual magazine, please write to editor@multilingual.com with an article idea or a pitch to be considered for future publications. I hope to see you again next week, and I hope you enjoy the spring or the fall wherever you are.